Hey, how's it going everybody, and welcome back to yet another Fallout 4 mod review. And today we're checking out another handmade lore-friendly weapon mod known as the Mobius Homemade AER by BlaineMobius. Now, this mod is flagged as a work in progress at the moment, but to be honest, there's a whole lot of content in this mod, and as far as I'm concerned, it's only a little bit of polish away from being complete. This is going to add a brand new handmade laser rifle for you to get in Fallout 4 with a ton of customization options and some really cool aesthetics. Honestly, I like this thing a lot. Now, there is almost no information on the mod page for this mod, but luckily that's what this video is here for, so I'm going to let you know every single little detail that you're going to need when you download this thing. For starters, if you actually want to get your hands on this weapon, believe it or not, it is actually added to the leveled list and will start spawning in the world on gunners and raiders as well as vendors after level 10, which does seem pretty appropriate. Honestly, I wouldn't mind this thing spawning even earlier as an early game alternative to the standard laser weapon, since this is supposed to be handmade. This weapon does use the vanilla plasma rifle animations, and honestly, they fit perfect. I absolutely love the housing for the fusion cell. This truly looks like something that a scientist would have made in their garage. I like it a whole lot. When it comes to attachments and things of that sort, there is actually a good bit of variety here, and every single attachment is going to change the way that the weapon looks, though there's not a flat damage increase in the form of a damage modifier or receiver, but I'm sure that's something that will come in the final release. Again, this weapon is intended to be a work in progress, even though it is uploaded to the Nexus, so either we'll see a final release update or an additional release at some point in the future. To be honest though, like I said earlier, there is a lot of potential with this weapon already. As far as I'm concerned, it's really close to release, and I can't wait to see what else the author decides to add, as what's here already is really cool. With that, let's go ahead and take this thing in-game, check out the stats and some of the other features available within this mod. For starters, let's go ahead and talk about the stats. Here is the Tactical Kit AER pistol, pretty much the most basic variant of this weapon, and I gotta say I really like the design of this thing. It looks very handmade and very Fallout. As far as I'm concerned, this only needs a teensy bit of polish. For example, this big block here in the middle could use some beveled edges, but beyond that, this is a pretty perfect model. I like the design a whole lot. This thing has a base damage of 24 with an additional 24 energy damage. It does use fusion cells as its ammunition, as you can see here. The range is 71 with an accuracy of 149. This thing has a weight of 4.2 pounds and a value of 149 caps, making this a pretty nice find if you are able to get one out in the wasteland. As you can see, there are 4 modification slots here, and these are the most standard set of modifications. But much like the vanilla energy weapons, you can change this thing into a rifle with certain stock attachments and certain barrel attachments, so that is pretty cool. Now, I know I said this uses vanilla animations, but I still want to show them off because I think these ones are pretty neat, and I do like the fusion cell housing for this weapon. Not to mention, it does have both pistol and rifle versions, so let's go ahead and check those out really quick. Here is the pistol version of the weapon, firing and reloading. And then, of course, we do have some rifle variants that do look really nice with those same animations. Now, one small note of polish, like I was talking about, to get this thing ready for final release is on the rifles when you fire it, you might be able to tell for a split second there, the fusion cell seems to move and kind of comes out of the housing there. And it only happens sometimes, which is really interesting. I think a really easy fix would just be to move that back bracket just a teensy bit, but it's so minor that it's not that big of a deal. Now, there is one more thing I want to check out while we're here looking at these animations, and it's the bottle sight, a pretty prominent feature of this weapon. I've had an idea for something like this in the past, and I think this author executed it very well. I really like the mount and the reticle, and it just works. This glass I thought wouldn't be very see-through, but honestly, it works perfect. The bottle scope is super cool, very makeshift, and definitely very Fallout, so big props to the author for that one. Now then, let's talk about the attachments over at the weapons workbench. Of course, you can have this thing as a pistol, or even sort of a rifle or shotgun, or even a laser sniper rifle of sorts. There are a handful of modifications available for this weapon. Let's use a rifle variant just so we can see some of the cool drastic changes that you can do. For starters, we do have the barrel section. Now, by default, you have the tiny little short barrel, then you have the long barrel, the longer barrel, and the longest barrel, which is going to be your sniper variant. For stocks, we have the standard grip, which will be for a pistol. Then the rest, I believe, are all rifle grips. You have the stock from the laser rifle, which features a sawn-off version of the actual laser rifle stock that has been attached with some pipe brackets, and I think that looks super cool. Really, really fun to reuse some of those vanilla assets. We also have a metal stock, which is a little bit more handmade. And then we have the plasma rifle stock, which has been bolted onto this thing and features a pretty interesting angle that I actually like a lot. Adds some really cool geometry to this weapon. And then we have a wooden stock. Now this one's a bit off to me. I don't know. There's just something about the shape that doesn't look like it would be super comfortable up against your arm, but it is there if you want some more wood on this weapon. Then for sights, we only have 3 sights, interestingly enough. We have that bottle sight as the first option, the laser sight, and no, this isn't the laser sight you're thinking, it's the sight from the laser rifle. And then finally, we have the pipe sight, which is going to be the reflex sight from the pipe rifle. Pretty interesting that there's no true iron sights, only sort of reflex sights, but that's probably something that will be added to, if I had to guess, when it comes to final release. And then finally, we have the muzzle devices. Here we have our standard lens, the beam focuser, and then the beam splitter, which of course will turn this thing into sort of a shotgun, which in this case is really interesting because it has 9 separate lenses there for 9 different projectiles, which I think is pretty cool. Now, the weirdest part about this weapon is that as of this time, there is no receiver section or damage modifier section, so there's no way to really get that damage up aside from the different barrel upgrades as well as the different focusers at the end here. And even then, the damage isn't that crazy, so I'm going to tinker with some different variants and see what we can get together for our damage test. Alright, so in terms of the actual damage upgrades we were able to get for this weapon, all of the damages only actually affected the energy damage. So if we look at our pistol here, we have a base of 24 and 24, whereas the fully upgraded one has 24 of the base ballistic damage, but 54 energy damage. Now, Deathclaws have a pretty high resistance to that energy damage, so I don't know that it's going to do a whole lot for us, but we'll do one final test with fully upgraded Rifleman perks to see if that can help boost the damage a good bit. With that, let's go ahead and test on our first Deathclaw here with the standard pistol and see how it does without any attachments or any perks. And that's not too bad. Only 22 shots, we didn't even have to reload, and that's with the basic version of the weapon. And fusion cells are a pretty common ammo type, so that's not too bad. Now let's see how we do with that upgraded version. Let's go ahead and grab our rifle here and see how it does. Now you'll notice that the magazine capacity of this thing is much lower, but it is going to have a higher damage. But apparently not high enough. We're going to have to reload a few times for this thing. Now, in total, we did about the same damage as that one, roughly around 22-23 shots there, because again, Deathclaws have a pretty high energy resistance, and the only damage increase we got was from that energy resistance. And the decreased magazine size didn't help a whole lot, so you're actually better off with the weaker version, weirdly enough, at least when it comes to Deathclaws. Regardless, let's see how we do with a Rifleman perk to see if we can get that damage up at all. So with a fully upgraded Rifleman perk, let's see how this thing does. And that's definitely looking a lot better for us with 9 shots in already. The 10th one kills the Deathclaw on a critical hit. So it does cut our time to kill in about half, doing about double the damage we were previously, which is to be expected from the perks. So definitely worth investing in some perks, and hopefully we'll see some damage tweaks upon final release. But yeah, guys, that is the Handmade AER, or the Handmade Laser Rifle by BlaineMobius. A pretty fun, cool new weapon. I really, really like this thing. This does feel like a tinkerer's answer to a laser rifle, something that Wastelanders might be able to cook up in their garage or at their settlement's workbench, so I like this weapon a lot. Typically, I don't actually really like crafting a weapon at a chemistry station, and this is one of the few weapons that I feel like deserves it. It does seem like a homemade energy weapon, yet, as of right now, you can only find it in the fully leveled list. So we'll have to see what kind of tweaks come for the final release, because again, everything shown is in the work in progress version of the mod. Regardless, even though it is a work in progress, you can download it right now. If you would like to, it will be linked down in the description below so you can try it out for yourself. With that, I hope you guys enjoyed this video and a nice sneak peek at this cool new mod. If you did enjoy, don't forget to drop a rating, subscribe if you haven't already for more videos just like this. Big shout out as always to all of my patrons, you guys are awesome for continuing to support the channel, and a special thank you to Helljumper2077, Jackie Noid, Youth RC, and Indecisive Wolf for continuing to support with that tier 3 membership. You guys are amazing and so generous. If you want to check out the Patreon, it will be linked down in the description below, but again, as always, it is completely optional. Thank you guys so much for your continued support, and thanks so much for watching the video, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. Peace!